Yo, K-Kunnnn here. Today the livestream just showed ZZZ's 2 anniversary rewards, one being a standard character selector and a standard Wengine selector. W. Very player friendly for returning and new players getting a huge head start with these rewards. So if you like the characters based on their gameplay or appearance, disregard my advice and go for that one character that you like. I'll leave that decision up to you on whoever you're gonna pick. Leave down in the comments below who are you gonna pick for your selectors. So let's start off with new players. You guys, I will advise you to play the game and pull on the standard banner first to get your free character or Wengine if your luck is kinda stinky, which will probably take you like an hour or more depending if you're just like pressing the skip button. I'm telling you to pull on the standard banner first because it gives you a one-time penny where you can get an S rank character around 40 pulls, so that once you get your character or Wengine when you hit the mark, or even you can get it way early, you're pretty much set up to get the character on the selector depending on what you get on the standard banner. For example, I got like Camellia, the stunner agent on the standard banner pull, and I could probably get like Soldier 11 and her signature Wengine to boost my early game progression, but that's just theoretical. So let's get into the value prospects of each character and Wengines which will benefit your account. The first one is Nekomata, a cute and funny character that revolves around a fast-paced playstyle of dodge countering and just being nimble as fuck. She pretty much synergizes with the A ranks you get from the start, and if you get copies of her and her Wengine, it enables you to do more damage if you attack the enemies on their 6 or back. But that's pretty much where her value stops, because there's a certain character that pretty much has a similar playstyle and provides a lot more value than Nekomata, and it's Jane. She uses a lot of dodge counters and nukes the enemies with her physical anomaly, with Nekomata doing that kind of damage if the enemy is stunned, kinda, like emphasis on the kinda, but it isn't that even close. So if you like her, get her, but she's not worth yoinking over. Her Wengine could be good for stat stick for future physical and non-physical attacker characters just because of the crit stat, or some niche cases like Hugo. If you have him, he can basically teleport to the enemy's backs and probably somewhat like use the passive on that Wengine a little bit more efficiently than any other character. But other than that, there isn't a lot of characters that can mid-max like its passive, so don't get this if you're not like planning to mid-max the cute and funny character. Next up is Grace, an electric anomaly agent that wants to clank robots with her agile and mobile gameplay of throwing electric grenades and dealing the majority of her damage through like shock anomaly procs. She can be played as like a main DPS on field or just like quick swap DPS in order to help the main DPS on the team like Anton, or in some cases like Yanagi, which is like her better counterpart 07, Vivian, or maybe Harumasa. But other than that, I don't really see many people like playing her except for the people who really loves her. Her Wengine, I'd say, is pretty good, but it's hella niche. But it's really strong on that niche if you don't have like any other Wengine options. A character like Yanagi, Virgil's daughter Miyabi, Piper, or Bernice can utilize this Wengine for its stats and easy to proc generic like passive that all anomaly characters can do just by pressing or holding their EX skill. If you have these characters I've mentioned, especially for Miyabi, if you're not pulling for her signature Wengine, this will be her second best in slot. Is it good? Yes, for its niche. But other than that, being like a specific situation for selected accounts that has like Yanagi or Miyabi that didn't pull for their like signature Wengine, then yeah, it's a 50-50, depends on your account state. Next up is Soldier 11, the attacker agent that provides consistent DPS output by using her Fire Aspect 2 sword if you time your attacks properly, since you have to time it accordingly to do most of her damage from her. Or you can just press like her EX skill or ult, where you can just like mash your left click. She's a character for the people who likes like time attack and sequenced attack, and she's the embodiment of a strong, consistent DPS output. But other than that, at this point of the game, there are a lot of better DPS alternatives. So she isn't a bad pick, but you really have to be madly in love with her. But that's why there's like a cult surrounding her. But her Wengine speaks a different story though. The Brimstone is one of the best standard Wengines in this game, with its amazing stats since attack really scales well in this game compared to like the other Hoyoverse games. The passive is the easiest to proc by just doing your attacks. You can max it in just mere seconds. All the attacker agents can use this Wengine, even the upcoming ones in the future, unless they have like a unique mechanic that for some reason can't proc the passive. But yeah, this will never lose its general value and overall is a good pick if you have no other options. Up next is Camellia, a pretty good stunner agent that is good at quick swapping attacking and burst stunning enemies. If you know how to do her combos, like her basic and EX skill combo, which is literally just like basic attack 2 and EX skill and then like last basic attack and EX skill. She's a pretty good alternative for fire team comps if you don't have the GOAT Lighter. She doesn't provide insane buffs like Lighter with how long he prolongs the like stun duration and increases the fire and ice elements damage. But she does work well with Evelynn since she boosts chain attack damage, which Evelynn strives on. Other than that, there is her team up comp with Bend, which is cool and it does help her stun fast, but in this day and age of ZZZ, I don't really see it being used because we have so many other options. It isn't bad by any means, you can do it if you have both of them well invested, but yeah, it's a really niche scenario. Her signature Wengine is another candidate for you to pick with its juicy stats for stunners, and again, its passive is so easy to proc. By just doing an EX skill, you'll get a good amount of impact, and if your stunner is off field and more of like a quick swap and fuck off type character, the energy regen helps them quite a bit. You can get the max benefit from the regen, but I feel like ZZZ's like heading towards an off-field support slash stunning moving forward, so you can literally slot this to any character or stunner agent and it will work and you'll get value out of it. Next up is Rina, an S-rank support that is the only support that can provide like the pen ratio to the team, which is very niche, but she excels in that niche. Since pen ratio kinda helps you ignore some of the enemy's defense, plus she's brain dead easy to play, just use basic or like an EX skill to put your puppets on the field and you'll pretty much get the buff, and getting like M1 will help that prolong that pen ratio buff. And she's pretty nice for electric teams since she increases the shock duration by 3 seconds, which is like 30% more shock damage if I'm not wrong. So she's pretty good, Her Wengine's pretty nice overall, again another stat stick for your support characters, but in this case it pretty much gets all of its value if the character can scale well with pen ratio, which only Rina can benefit from. Its passive is pretty nice and generic enough that you can slot it into someone like Nicole or maybe Lucy, but her signature A rank Wengine is one of the best and I would dare say pretty much on par with Rina's Wengine, plus you can refine it to like R5 and probably get more value out of it. This Wengine is pretty good if you want to further increase Rina's supporting capabilities, but other than like Nicole, it doesn't really stick out that much often. Last but not the least, Lycon, an ice stunner agent who amplifies the stunner damage multiplier so that you can do big PP damage when the enemy is stunned, while providing Ice Rest Shred for 30 seconds, boosting your ice damage attacker or anomaly to do more damage, and being an on-field stunner, you want to do his charge attacks to stun the enemies quickly, while his downsides being only limited to like ice teams, requiring him to be like on-field because currently we are like moving on to stunners that stuns while being off-field, and sometimes his charge attacks are like kinda inconsistent due to the nature of like enemies attacking and you have to dodge, meaning you might not get the full value of his days build up, but it isn't that bad. His signature Wengine is pretty nice and versatile that it can be slotted into any stunner agents with its generic passive, and obviously its stats aligning with any stunner agents that wants to stun the enemies. You can slot this on a stunner like Anbi, being her second best S-rank Wengine option, Chingy's second best S-rank Wengine, and the fourth basic generic Wengine for Trigger. So if you want like a generic stunner Wengine that gives you a nice stat stick while the passive not having like the 100% uptime on some agents, this is one of the best Wengines if you're planning to make your stunner stronger. For MindScapes or dupes, the two I can think of that will increase the comfortability and usage of the characters are M1 for Rina and M2 for Camellia. The rest are pretty aight, but compared to these two Mindscapes, it helps really make them more comfy and easy to use. Basically, M1 Rina prolongs the duration of her puppets, meaning you don't have to go on field and reapply the buffs as often, making it less tedious to do. For Camellia's case, getting free 60 energy back when you EX kill, making burst stunning the enemies much more quickly is very nice, and immediately stacking her additional ability. Though the problem with this is you have to get her and M1, so if you already have like Camellia and her M1, then this one's a solid one to get, but if you're still using her, that is, because Jufufu's right around the corner and you know, 07 Camellia. But yeah, here's a tier list that will give you an idea of what to go for and help you make an informed decision to make your account stronger or get a huge head start at your early game progression. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Subscribe so I can stay in the basement, and leave a like for the algorithm, and comment down below what will you be picking for your selectors now that you're informed with the latest stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Bye!